Hello again, everyone. Today we are taking a look at Fujin, a design submission to New Element by Leon. This won the design award, I believe, and it's a fantastic little park set in Japan during the winter time. So we're gonna take a look around and see some of the details and the intricacies of this cool design. So we'll start here with the coaster, being the focal point of the whole thing. There is a lot of layout crammed into a small space here. This is a Gerstlauer launch coaster. So let's hop on board here and take a look. We've got a nice little drop out of the station into a launch and a top hat. There's a cool dive off of the top hat underneath this diagonal bridge. First inversion here, a nice little roll over top of everything, including the queue line. Turn up over the railroad tracks into a loop that's threaded here with another roll. I think that's a really neat touch. And then we've got this sideways banked hill on the way back to a final helix squeezed in here, and then the brakes. Like I said, there's a lot of layout going on in a very small amount of space here. And not only that, there's also pathways, there's a queue line, there's some landscaping, there's some water, all sorts of stuff squeezed into what feels like shouldn't be a large enough space, but it reads really well, even though it's busy in here, and you can still kind of see what's going on. You can see the queue line coming through. If you turn around a little bit here, you can see this nice entrance with the little icon there, and I like the way that the pathway kind of wraps in and around, and you've got a lot of kind of uniqueness over top of the pathway with the ride coming up and over, and then also this neat span of the railroad tracks here with this cool support structure. So I did do these couple of supports here. I don't believe that's enough to justify the 1% that I have on this submission, but Leon was kind enough to give it to me anyway, so I can offer that much at least. What I do like about this is kind of the coloration. It's very muted, which honestly fits Japan, at least from a city environment. A lot of grays, a lot of whites, some of the black here. But then you've got these really strong pops of color with the red and the blue here, the yellow of the Ferris wheel. And there's just a lot of details to look at. I think the cityscape is done incredibly well here. So you got this sort of park in the middle of the city. It's winter time, so it's starting to ice over. This is a neat touch here with the ice underneath of the water kind of coming out to all the various areas here. A couple swan boats for those brave folks who are in the cold, but not too bad. And then you have all the snowy trees here. I like the muted look of the trees rather than with the green. It really fits the theme and helps with the coloration of the entire thing. A lot of little stands here. I mean, the nice thing about these RCT stands with the Chinese food is that it already has that kind of look, so you can even use it as scenery like is done here. And then we're also doing the monorail walls throughout here, and then a couple of this across the top. I don't quite know what the water is doing up underneath here. We've got the swan boats going up underneath, and I guess it's meant that it's just kind of through this area here, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of information about what this whole pathway is doing here from a supporting standpoint over top. So it looks a little almost flimsy, maybe like you can kind of punch a hole through it, but my assumption is there's kind of a wall further back that we just can't see up underneath of it. But I like this curved railing. It adds a little bit of a nice little curvature within sort of the heavy grid of the city and the straight roadways and everything else. A nice Ferris wheel here again with the yellow. It's a good kind of iconic centerpiece of the park. And then you've got this really big skating rink here, which is super cool. All the peeps here that look like they're ice skating around. I like the roadway lines here used for the walkway, not the walkway, the skating lines. And then we get to the architecture itself. I mean, that's special on its own in this, I think. So we've got the tea house here, which hangs over on all the different sides. Some really kind of interesting theming, interesting architecture with it. Four sides all the same, but a little bit of tracketecture in there, and then just a nice and a simple structure. Um, where we get into some really neat stuff are some of these interiors. So we have this casino here with some pretty excellent lettering, and the big 3D cinema here as the roof ornament. And inside, you've got a nice cutaway here with two levels and some slot machines here, which are really well done. And then also the roulette table up here. Again, super cool, super nice detail. Really well done. There's a lot of these little pavilion type buildings just along here. Some of the seating areas, like these two benches underneath this pavilion space. I think that's really cool. This little strip down by the water feels very much like something you'd see in Japan, with a bunch of these little tiny stalls of food throughout, and then a couple of shops, but also just super adorned with signage in every possible combination and lights and things like that. So it's very much alive. Even the color itself is a little bit more muted. Same thing here, where you have this sort of open air food service space, and then you've got some other buildings along here, and it still feels compact, but you've got some space to move around here off of the roadway. This is a neat little touch with the construction going on the road. I like the nice wide crosswalks. It's a very Japan thing. And then this sort of archway here through to this, which you can kind of assume was another commercial strip going back into the landscape. And then you've got this department store, multi-level department store is a big Japanese thing for sure. And if you spin around, you've got this great collection of things like the sushi bar up here, and all the different shops throughout. So there's a lot to see, a lot to look at, a lot of little details here. I love the escalators in there as well. And then we have this construction site. I'm loving the red and the white crane. The gray, it really stands out. And then you've got the couple of crosswalks along here that are covered, pathway covered with the scaffolding. And then you have the structure here up underneath throughout this entire area, which looks really neat. This is one of the better under construction buildings I think I've seen in the game. Really like how this is coming together with all the different kind of parts and pieces, a little bit of debris up here, and the construction workers all walking around. Then you've got the train here, so you have the elevated line, and then you also have the kind of lower line here, the Yanamote line, it says, for the lower one, and then the same for the top. But also then a couple of these small apartment blocks here. That's probably not necessarily the most desirable apartment block if you have a coaster shaking it every 20 seconds or so, but maybe for some enthusiasts they might not mind that so much. But really, on the whole, we have a great looking design with a lot of detail packed into a pretty small space. I love the seasonal aspects to it with the snow and the ice. I think that makes a difference compared to if you had just done this as sort of like a standard summer theme, I guess. Would have been neat to have some cars on the roadway here just to have some movement and just some of those kind of details. But on the whole, I can't fault it because it's certainly busy, but it's all very readable. There's a lot to see, a lot to look at, a lot of little details like some of these like cherry blossom pieces looking in here, a lot of nice roof details on here, and then the signage throughout. I think that's really where this one wins more than most, is the signage is done really well. All the little awnings, all the lighting with the street lamps and things like that throughout. So it's done incredibly well. Lots of detail, lots to look at, and the coaster is nice too. It's a good flowing layout in a pretty compact space, and on the whole, I think it looks great. So congratulations on the design win. A really great submission, and always look forward to what else you can put out. Definitely looking forward to your future parks. So congratulations on this one. Excellent looking park.